Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us in our expert talk. I'm Anamika, and I welcome you all to today's webinar on principles behind Scale Agile Framework. Today is all about discovering the 10 principles of SAFe and exploring their relevance with some real examples. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker for the day, Mr. Anand Pandey. Anand is an enterprise agile coach who has worked with many Fortune 500 companies and assisted them in their agile transformation journey. He has more than 17 years of experience spanning across various domains and geographies. Without wasting any time, I will give the floor to Mr. Anand. Sir, you may take it ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, Anamika, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, friends. Welcome. My voice clear, loud?
Yes, it is.
All right. So you must be wondering, why did I choose principle behind SAFe as a topic for the webinar when there are lots of interesting topics like PI planning, right? Or playing the game of Kanban and all. So why such a theoretical topic? There is a reason behind it. I intentionally chose because if we are grounded and if we really understand the principles, that makes us help make lots of decisions how we go forward. Let me share an example, right? Respect is one of the value, and I'm not sure which culture would not say respect is one of the value that they value. But you do not put a tattoo or you do not carry a signboard called respect every place you go. Your behavior that you demonstrate manifests in those values, right? So imagine that you're in a public transport and you are having a comfortable seat. You see an elderly person standing. You have two options. Either you pretend you be oblivious of that person standing, or you actually get up from your seat and allow that person to sit down. What would you do? What you do actually demonstrates at that moment what you value. If you get up from your seat, that means you value respect. Similarly, understanding principles makes you help take decisions on those ambiguous situations toward better value delivery to the customers. May I request people who are not speaking to go on mute so that we are all tuned to the conversation? Thank you. So SAFe puts 10 different principles, and that's built on top of 12 agile principles and lean safe house and the system thinking. So we will be taking with whatever time that we may be having 10 different principles. Let's see how much can we cover. So the first principle, take an economic view. Let me put you onto a hypothetical scenario. Assume that you have got 3 different projects. It could be a performance optimization project, ERP project, or a web development. Take it XYZ project, right? So that's what 3 projects are there. And then you see a dimension called cost of delay. So what is that? We are so tuned to finding out the return on investment, but return on investment is something a promise in future. Cost and delay says that if I'm not releasing it in any given unit of time, let's say today, I'm gonna lose an revenue. And as we know, right, most of the customer problems are existing, pre-existing. So all the softwares that we are building should have been built yesterday. So each day of delay that we are doing in releasing the value to the customer, we are incurring some loss. And that is what we call it as cost of delay. So here we see the cost of delay as $500,000. What does that mean? If we do not release this particular performance management project or an ERP project, we lose $500,000 every unit of time. It could be a day, it could be a month, or whatever you calculate. The second dimension is job size. What is the duration that it will take for a project to complete? So it's 60 days, 40 days, 30 days, respectively. For simplicity, let's assume that it's just one person team that you have, and you have got 3 different projects to prioritize. Let's use a chat window to put which project would you go first. I'm not sure it's possible for people to use chat window. I think yes. And then which project would you go? Saying A, B, and C. Anamika, will you able to confirm me, like if participants can also put use the chat window?
Yeah, they can use their chat window. They can easily write their answers there.
One who would like to say A, B, or C, which project would you like to go first? So I'll repeat the context once again.
I think the
Assume
chat is disabled.
thought so. I thought so. Not a problem. I'll give you the answer, but you keep you may validate your answer. Okay, I got the answer as C. Wonderful. So if I'm gonna lose $500,000 for every project every single day. So why not do C? Because I'll stop that loss in 30 days, and then I might be taking B and then A. Right way. Now let me just twist it out. Now you have got different cost of delay, same job size. Which one would you pick up now? Again, C. So I'm here having job size as 40 days. Each of the projects will take 40 days. If I do A first, I'll stop loss of $500,000. If I take B first, $400,000, C first, $300,000. So Neeraj and Rajni is saying I'll do first C. That means I'll stop losing $300,000. Srinivas says I'll do A first. I'll stop $500,000 loss first. Srinivas, you are right. It's $500,000 which I'm losing for A each day of delay. So if the job size is fixed, why not just do A first and get rid of it? Stop the loss of $500,000, then pick up $400,000, stop the loss of that, and then fall to C. All good so far? Now bring a twist. Now, if you have got the parameters different, your cost of delays are different, your job size are different. That's what the reality is, right? It cannot be just one-on-one. Which one would you pick up now? Any guess? So Neeraj says C. All right, so Rajni, I'll repeat the question. Now the cost of delay and the job size has changed. It's no more that the same cost of delay or same job size. You have got different cost of delay and different job size for 3 different projects. Which one will you pick first to be started? A, B, or C? So Neeraj says C, Srinivas says B, and Neha says C. Right answer is C. Now let me explain you how. When we have got the difference of cost of delay and job size, we use weighted shortest job first. I understand that this is just a webinar, it's just an overview. We cannot go deep onto this topic. It will just take an entire day to explain all the concepts. I'm just glancing through it. The right answer is C. You just divide the cost of delay by the job size. 500 divided by 50 is 1, 400 divided by 30 comes to 1 dot something, 300 divided by 10 comes 3. Whichever has the highest, pick up that. So C has got highest cost of weighted shortest job first. We pick up that. As I said, we cannot go too much of detail, but SAFE does provide us these kind of economical framework, which will help you make better decisions. In fact, SAFE provides you with 4 such economical framework. It provides you with value stream based funding. Just imagine, right now we do funding based on different projects, based on different departments. What if we could have a funding for the entire value stream, right from order to activation to order to activation, claim submission to reimbursement, fall to restoration, entire value stream is funded. And any project that falls within the value stream, they will have to use the money. I'm funding the entire value stream. It also puts the guardrails so that you are not using more than what you have been allotted. And if you do need that, right, you have to prove it through your MVP concept that yes, it is worth investing on that. It also gives you what we see it over here, just around. It also gives you what we were actually glancing through, right? The lead time, the risk, and all those things which help us calculate this part. The cost of delay divided by the job size gives you the British shortest job first. So this is the principle number 1, take an economic view to sustain and grow your business. And the key mantra is stop starting, start finishing. I'll move forward, but if you do have any question, do interrupt me. I'm just being mindful of the 45 minutes that we have, less than that, to cover the 10 principles. We may not have to necessarily cover all of that, so if you do have questions, just raise your hand. We'll move to the second principle that says apply system thinking. So in one of my engagement, we were into the claim submission to reimbursement business. And within that claims team, the system architects, and system architects come up with lots of, they have got that craviness, right, to try different technologies. So they said that, hey, we are taking, once the claim is submitted, our people are taking around 5 minutes to index a claim manually, of course, using a machine, but it takes like a manual processing of that. It takes 5 minutes. Why not use machine learning and artificial intelligence and all those technology to reduce it from 5 minutes to 5 seconds? Wow, sounds very interesting, right? But, and the product owner was completely sold with this brilliant idea. Wow, we will reduce it from 5 minutes to 5 seconds. But the vice president of product management was an ex-management consultant. And he just asked a few very important questions. What are we trying to solve over here? And the answer was, the participants are complaining that we are taking 5 days from the point the claim is submitted to the point the claim is reimbursement. That's huge compared to our competitors who are just taking 4 days. All right. The next question was, so how is this 5 minutes to 5 seconds going to help in 5 days to 4 days? That was a pin drop silence. And that's when he said, all right, let's plot the entire value stream. Let's see how the work is flowing through. Right from the point the participant submits the claim, to getting it indexed, to getting it processed, to reconciliation, finally payment, and then ACH to the bank, and then finally bank giving it to the participant. Plot it across. And when it was plotted, what we found out was that actually the claims were getting stacked over here. You were batching it over here. Hundreds and thousands of claims were getting batched, and overnight a batch process would run, which will give all the ACH payment to the bank, and then bank will dispatch to the participants. Bingo. That is the point where we have to fix. It was a 24 hours of lag, just claims just sitting idle. So why not invest in, get out of the old technology of debilling and move to microservices? Make instantaneous transaction to the bank so that bank can transact ACH immediately to the participants. Now we are talking about from 5 days to 4 days. But for this systemic thinking, for this holistic approach, you need to understand the complete system. And that's not possible without you having a shared understanding of how different systems are interacting with each other, right? We also see this similar one, right? If you just visualize this simple one, let me hold on to the pen, please. Yeah, you see, all the work is getting done over here, and it takes only 11 hours for the complete work. But if we see the end-to-end time, 7 weeks. Our general tendency is we see that, hey, it's 4 hours over here. Let's do the optimization of coding and testing process. Can we ask our coders to be more, I intentionally use the word coder, coder to be more productive? Let's make it from 4 hours to 3 hours. Fine. What will that lead to? Just 10 hours? Start thinking where your bottleneck is. And if you would have observed it, hey, why is it taking 2 weeks for assignment of the developers, or 2 weeks for an email from a tech lead? What's happening over here? And if we focus on these bottlenecks, we might be able to see reduction from 7 weeks, might be even 5 weeks to begin with. But for that to happen, we need to have that collaboration. We stop thinking at a localized level, but thinking holistically. We have to be like that ex-management consultant, the vice president of product management, and see everything, eliminate silos. They have to be empowered. That person was very strongly empowered, right? And how can you have the entire organization relentlessly not just think about how to deliver, not just from the product delivery, but to the production process itself? And the key message over here is that when we start doing it, we will see that the applying system thinking makes us make more informed decisions. And the mantra is stop local optimization. I'll take a pause over here and see if we have any question. And am I going fast, slow, tempo, making sense? Thanks, Rajni, for a quick feedback. So I suppose silence means no, we are all going good. So that makes me move to the third principle. Assume variability, preserve options. So how many of you are able to predict stock market accurately and have made huge money out of those predictions? Can you raise your hand? So I suppose you have an option to raise the hand, and till now I have not seen any hand raised. So if you're not, then of course you're into the right industry. Otherwise, I would have invited you to go to the stock and investment industry and help retailers like us. But if you have not, then that means you know that stock market is really very unpredictable, right? And that is why we go for stock options. When we have stock options, we are kind of covered with lots of market volatility. We have got kind of an insurance of that market volatility. But that insurance comes with a cost. Those options are expensive, but that safeguards us from a huge economical loss. There's another place where we use these options. Airplane tickets, right? So we get these options of flexi tickets. At least in Indian context, if I say if I'm paying 6,000 rupees for a flight ticket, it gives me an option that, okay, if I pay 6,600 rupees, I get that option of rescheduling. I've got to get that flexibility in case my plan changes. If I start seeing 600 rupees as an expensive option, I might start seeing that, okay, what if my plan changes? I'm going to lose entire 6,000 rupees. So whenever there is a variability, it's better to have your options, have your insurance in place. So that's what principle number 3 talks about. Another example which recently happened in this COVID time was, so you may not look at this diagram right now, I'll be explaining that in a while. This Dutch government, right? They had a very strong criticism on how they handled the COVID vaccination plan. The government just planned for the easy to handle the AstraZeneca vaccine, which was not yet cleared by European Union, but they planned just for that. And when later it was not approved, they were into a soup. They did not plan for the US drug maker Pfizer's plan, which was approved by by the European Union. What was the result? Netherlands was the last European Union to get the vaccination in place. So what do we learn from that? Keep your options open. Assume that there will be variability. And how does SAFE helps into that? So there are two diagrams which we are seeing over here. One is your single point, right? Like the Dutch company, like the airplane, we go with our plan, and suddenly, if the plan deviates, we might be too much away from our actual. And it's too late for the adjustment. Netherlands had too much to make an adjustment. Your flight gets delayed, you have to book a new flight at a very expensive cost. The last debooking cost may reach up to 15,000 rupees. It's too late, it's too expensive. What SAFE says is go with multiple options, multiple design options, because you really do not know what will be happening. And then at very frequent integration point, see whether your plans are making right or not, and make necessary adjustments. How do we do that? We come up with MVPs, we come up with small experiments. In my case, we were not sure whether we will be properly able to integrate using Azure Web Services or the Amazon Web Services, the AWS Web Services. We kept both the options. It was expensive. We went with the trial version. We had teams to start exploring both the web services. And then we later on saw that, yes, it's Azure only which was working and not the AWS. Just imagine if you would have gone with AWS. Very late, you would have realized that it's too late. Safe suggests is that start with multiple options and keep eliminating the wrong ones. And it doesn't have to be at the design level, at every level, even at the requirement level. Build some prototype, go to the customers and see whether that makes sense or not. So what is the key message for principle 3 is assume variability and preserve options. Allow us to respond to the change now, next year, and beyond. And the key mantra is do just enough and just in time. I'll make progress to the fourth principle, which says build incrementally with fast integrated learning cycle. And for that, let me invite you to a lottery, a virtual lottery, prize money of $3,000, and I request you to put your answer in the chat window. Now, the rule of the game is you'll have to, the first rule is that you pay me $3, virtually of course, and select 3-digit numbers. Once you have selected that, I'll reveal you what is the correct 3 numbers. People who would have played Lotto understand this game, right? So here you go. Select any 3-digit random number and put it onto the chat window. Make any random guess. This is just a game. Are you able to put it in the chat window? Yeah, I guess, yeah, we should be able to. Any 3-digit number. Sorry, I did not mention that. Okay, yeah, 3 single-digit number. Let me be a bit more specific. So 3, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. Let more come. All right, I could see some wonderful numbers coming. Now, if I say that, hey, the number was actually this one. All of you lost your money. All of you lost all your $3. Now, let me change the rule of the game. What about this one? You pay $1, you select one number, you put that number, I reveal my first number. If that matches, then you may decide whether you want to invest onto the second number or not. Let's give it a try. Select one number. Just put one number in the chat window. And that be a single-digit number, please. I would request multiple people to type it out. Let's make it more interactive. And if there can be duplicate, even better. I could see only 3 people who have. We have got more than 30 people here. Let more numbers keep flowing. All right. Few more, please. Come on, there's nothing at stake. It's just a game. All right, so let me say that if my number was 5, I flashed my number. Now, a question to Arnold, Rajni, do we need to choose from the given numbers on screen? No, there's nothing, no number on the screen. No, I'm sorry, that was just a display number. Rajni, if you have got it wrong, no, that was just a display. You could select any number out of 0 from 1 to 9. Right, so my question to Soumya, my question to Rajni and Arnold would be, my number is 5. Would you still invest onto the second digit? Yes or no? The answer is no, because they know it, like they have already lost the game. But my question to Suresh and Soumya is, would you invest because your first number has matched? You said 5, I said 5. Now, you both are still in the game. Type your second number of your choice. Suresh, can you make it just a single digit, please? All right, now if I say 7 is my second number. Now, my question to Soumya is, would you invest onto the third digit? I suppose the answer would be no. Suresh may opt to the third digit, right? So Suresh, what would be a third digit if you are opting to invest? 6. If I say 6, then the final number comes to 576, and bingo, we have a winner, Suresh, with lottery amount of $3,000. Just kidding, it for virtual. But what we understood is that we had two rules. One was a waterfall way. You invest all your money, and then you're assuming that everything will be falling in place. It may or it may not. And then the second, you played agile. You invested small amount, you saw the result, and then you decided whether you'll be going ahead or not. I hope you found this small game interesting to get the concept. That's what the principle is about. How does SAFE puts into the context? SAFE says that build multiple learning cycle. You see, every iteration we have got the plan, do, check, act as part of your integration. Above, we have got it at the PI level. Above, we have got it at the portfolio level. What its intention is that at every level, try to learn something and feed it back to your system. Do not go in a sequential way in a pipe dream, hoping that everything will be going fine. Always validate your assumption, the way we validated through that small lottery game. So principle number 4, key message is build incrementally with fast integrated learning cycle. Reduce the risk, gain the knowledge, and manage expectation, and ensure you get the best result. And the key mantra is use minimum viable prototypes. You saw how the fast integrated learning cycle with placing bet on one digit and getting the reaction from the market helped you save $2, right? Compared to losing all the $3, you were able to save $2, most of you. Again, logical break, 2 principles done. Any question or any feedback? Are we all good? Thanks, Rajni, once again for confirmation. So yeah, we have got each and every of these topics deserves an hour of thoughtful discussion, but we understand we have got the time, so just trying to cover as much thoughts as possible, just to trigger those thoughts. Now, principle number 5, base milestones on object evaluation of working software. People who come from the waterfall, and like when I say waterfall, like 15 years back, they must be realizing those phase gates. In one of my assignments at a client location, we used to have these different gates: requirement readiness review, high-level design readiness review, detailed design readiness review, code readiness review, testing readiness review, integration readiness review. You understand, right? Release readiness review, deployment readiness, operational. There were so many gates, and each gate meant 200-line spreadsheet to be filled in. And we used to, like me at onshore location in Melbourne, we was charging customers in dollars just to fill those spreadsheets. And we knew that we were faking. I'll be honest, like, of course, like, because we have to work on the software. Our primary purpose is not to just fill in those spreadsheets. But if client is willing to pay that, let's fill something over there. Let it be like what we call it as the watermelon metrics. Everything looking green from inside, everything was broken inside. That's what we were trying to present it to. It was just giving that false positive feeling to the customers, right? And you know the reason? Because they knew that they cannot see the working software. And at least at that time, the technology was not so much supporting. I know that I'm trying to give a lame excuse, but 15 years back, the technology was not so very strong that it would allow you to test your increment every sprint. But now if we use that as a reason, then that's actually a slacker layman reason. So do not go with these phase gates and live in that virtual pipe dream that everything is all very fine. Do not try to fix your requirements, fix your design too early, right? Do not do the mistake that Dutch government do. Do not make a mistake of booking inflexible flights, right? If you are not very sure on your schedule, because it will not let you adjust your plan, your schedule later on. If you do, it will be very expensive because you have hard fixed everything, because you have to sign off on your gates that yes, your requirements are frozen, your design are frozen, which is now so anti-agile. In fact, Agile Manifesto Principle number 7 has specifically put that working software is the primary measure of progress. You notice I emphasized on that article, the, because you might have thousands of matrices, but if you do not have a working software, nothing else matters. So how does SAFE puts into perspective? It says at every logical interval, it has inspect and adapt opportunity, where we measure the progress, product, and process. Progress with respect to PI objectives, progress with respect to milestones. We look at product performance, like for example, how did the customer feedback happen from the last release? How many new customers did we acquire? What was the new revenue that we got generated? How's our process performance? Like, what's the lead time from the point we take the requirement to the point we deploy to the production server? How's our process effectiveness? It could be that, are we moving from a release branch to the trunk-based branch, release-based branching, and not feature-based branching? So apart from the working software as a product itself, start measuring your progress, product, and process, the 3 Ps, at every regular interval, which is inspect and adapt. So mantra for principle number 5 is the key message for the principle number 5 is base milestone on objective evaluation of working systems to allow everyone to understand where they are and where they are going. And the key mantra is habit 2 of the 7 habits of highly effective people. Begin with the end in mind. What are you really trying to achieve? And now let's move to the principle number 6, the most exciting principle. Visualize and limit work in progress, reduce batch size, and manage queue length. I suppose people are familiar with Kanban, right? It is said that if managers do not see the system, they start managing what they can see, and it's people. And they manage the way they know it. They start micromanaging. So what people should be doing is actually make the system transparent so that they can start managing the system. And when you start visualizing, the first thing, of course, is to visualize the whole system. Where is different kind of work landing? And when you start visualizing that, it will start showing up where our work stuck. And when the work is stuck, you know what happens? You start incurring cost of delay. And principle number 1 suggested reduce your cost of delay. So first thing, visualize your work in progress and then try to limit it. It might be so very counterintuitive and we cannot go deep onto the Kanban concept of what is the advantages of limiting work in process, but just understand one point. We live in an illusion that we can multitask. We cannot multitask. All we are just doing is context switching. And these context switching are really very expensive. To be honest, and putting it onto the perspective, it costs you around 20 to 30% of your time. Right? So yes, visualize your entire process and limit work in process. And once you start doing that, you'll start removing your bottleneck and you'll start seeing the lead time improving. Right? Remember system thinking, all you need to see is nothing. It doesn't matter how fast are they delivering it to them, they delivering it to them, or they deliver it to them. What matters is that how much time is a concept taking from ideation to realization. Getting to reducing the batch size. Don't get overwhelmed looking at this diagram. Let me give you an example, right? We all go for grocery shopping, but we always try to balance. Do we do grocery shopping for 6 months? No, because if we do for 6 months, we will have to incur a lot of cost, right? Cost with respect to where will I be saving it out, cost in a sense, upfront investment, and cost in a sense, things might rot. Like 6 months is huge, especially I'm talking about vegetables, right? But do we go for grocery shopping every day? No, because that means we will have to invest time to go to the shop, bring it over there, right? Petrol cost, time cost. So we have to find that optimal balance. And that's what now you look into this graph tells us. If the items per batch that we are bringing, it could be a cereal, right? A kg of a cereal or a ton of a cereal, right? If we go very less, 1 kg only, right? then that means we will have to go very frequently to the market. But if we get huge, like 100 kg, right? This was just 1 kg. We will have to go very less time to the market, but our cost of holding it increases. What we have to do is find out that right balance might be 20 kgs, depending on your consumption. How does that fit onto safe context? Find out the right size of your batch. If you hold 60 features of whatever unit you call your work, 60 user stories, 60 backlog items, 60 features at one go to do a big bang release, so that you have your economy of scale, you can do one go testing, one go release. Your transaction cost may be very good, but your holding cost will go very high. That means there are certain features over here which were waiting to be released. And the moment you release, you start saving that cost of delay. You start actually getting the revenue. But you are so focused on transaction cost that you did not notice your holding cost increasing. And why does that happen? Because managers know the transaction cost. We know how much people are billing. But if you ask anybody, okay, for this feature, what is the holding cost? What is the cost of delay? We do not know the cost. That is why we pretend to be oblivious of it and we start managing just the transaction cost. Finding the right balance is the key. And then finally, the third part of is managing the queue length. We can be faster by two ways, right? We can reduce the wait by two ways. Either we do it very fast, right? You ask your developers to do it very fast, or you reduce the queue length. Go to the McDonald's shop and you'll see that if you see the number of people standing on the queue, if it goes beyond certain threshold, and of course, depending on the location of a shop, the queue length is different. The moment it increases beyond, let's say, 5, the next POS, point of sale, immediately opens and the salesperson says, hey, can you come to this line? I'm sure you would have noticed that. Why are they doing it? Because they know that beyond 5, right, the sixth person will have to wait. Assume that each person takes, the whole transaction takes 5 minutes. 5 into 5, 25. The next person will have to wait for 30 minutes. That is against the customer satisfaction. Customer might just go to the nearest KFC. So they call immediately to the next queue that, okay, you come, I'll take your order. And then while they have taken the order, they do not sequentially put. So if you see Domino's micro oven, they do not batch the lots of dough to be put onto the oven at one time, right? They keep on pushing it onto the oven. So reducing the batch size also is important over here. Reduce the queue length, reduce the batch size, which we saw previously. And once we start doing that, we start seeing that our lead time improves. We basically have two options, right? So either we reduce the queue length or we work very fast. Working very fast, principle, one of the agile principles says, right, sustainable pace. We cannot go faster than any certain limit. But what we can do is manage our queue. Being mindful of the time, I'll move to the next few principles. And this was the most heaviest one. In fact, in the training, we spent almost an hour or more than an hour just on this principle. So principle number 6, key messages: visualize and limit your work in progress, reduce batch size, and manage queue length to improve the flow of value. And the key mantra is utilization is a false god. 100% utilization leads to lower throughput. In fact, let me add an anecdote. Do we ever allow our system, laptops, CPU utilization to go beyond 90%? It goes very slow, right? What we do next is open a task manager and start killing the processes. We'll limit the number of processes running in our laptop. But when it comes to human, we pretend to be oblivious. We allow it to be 100% utilization, and we do not stop work in process. We let all of those run in parallel. What happens? There is a high chances that there's an unsustainable pace. Quality gets compromised, defect gets leaked, employee demotivation, employee attrition, lots of things starts happening. So I invite you to have a look at your employee utilization, the way you look at your CPU utilization. Principle number 7, apply cadence synchronize across cross-domain planning. Safe Scrum also says, right, you should have cadence. So assume team one has got cadence of iteration, iteration, iteration. Team two has got a different length of a iteration. Team three has got a different. Technically, it's all going good, but cadence is really helping over here. It is helping the developers focus on what is important right now, rather than boiling the whole ocean. But where will they meet? Where is the integration point? Here, no, none of the team is ready. Here, two teams are ready. Team two is not ready. Here, none of them are ready, right? You see, here, team three is ready. Team two, one is ready. Team one, so at every point, none of them are ready. So when do we have an integrated working software? Nowhere. And that is why SAFe suggests cadence with synchronization. So why not have a fixed cadence for all of the teams so that at every point they integrate their working software and show it to everybody? And that's how it happens. So here you might be doing your PI planning if you're aware of safe terms, PI planning, and between that there are iterations, but all of those are of equal interval. And at every point, we integrate our software to see that, yes, we are still all aligned. So principle number 7, apply cadence synchronized with cross-domain planning to encourage collaboration, gain commitment, reduce risk, and eliminate waste. The mantra is collaboration, not dependency. Let me take a pause over here. Is that going overwhelming? Shall we take a pause? Good enough. We have 3 more principles to go. Neeraj, thanks for showing that confidence that we are still good to go. I'm not sure how much is it like a hard fixed of after 10 minutes. I'm flexible. I'm not sure. All right, let's the ball roll and shout out if it's going overwhelming, because I understand it's like too much to consume. We spend almost like half a day just for these principles in our training workshop with lots of activities. Principle number 8, unlock the intrinsic motivation of knowledge workers, right? So you may look at the pictures. SAFe principle, Agile Manifesto principle says, principle number 5, right? Build projects around motivated individuals. SAFe takes it one step ahead. It emphasizes intrinsic motivation. So what is this intrinsic motivation about? So for us to understand intrinsic motivation, go to the other end of the spectrum. What's extrinsic motivation? Extrinsic motivation like salary, like bonus. Yes, these do good. Of course, without these basic needs being met, our mind will always be thinking about salary. So keep the salary outside of the table for the discussion so that we focus on work, focus on value. But beyond that, what would motivate us? What is that which will motivate us? What is that intrinsic which will motivate us? So let's put it onto the perspective. Assume that you're building a software, right? What is so exciting about it? It's all about just like few thousands or millions lines of code which is running in a machine. That's it. What is so motivating about it? But now if I tell you that the software that you're building is going to be used by paramedics to locate when they're using it, to locate the nearest blood matching group, right, at the accident spot. Now, I'm sure like you, I'm getting a goose pimple now. I'm involved in saving human lives. My software is going to be used by paramedics to save human life. Wow. What just happened? It's still the same thousands of lines of code running on a bare metal machine. You got a purpose. You got a purpose of where and how it's going to influence human life. So purpose is very important. But is purpose sufficient? What if you have the purpose, but you do not have the skills of writing those softwares, those thousands of lines of code? You don't have the necessary skills to write that, to contribute toward that noble cause of saving human lives. You'll feel so very demotivated, right? Forget about intrinsic motivation, you are demotivated. So mastery over your skill is also very essential. You should get the space to master your skills in order to contribute toward the organizational value. Now, you have got your purpose, you have got your mastery. But imagine you're driving a car and you know how to drive and you know where to go. But the moment you start your car, there's someone who's just telling you, hey, drive this right there. I'm not sure about you, but I really do not like my wife sitting next to me and nagging where to go. I know the roads very well, right? So what am I missing over there? The autonomy. I have the purpose of where I have to go, why am I going, and how to drive the car, but I do not have the autonomy to drive properly the way I want to be. In fact, Daniel Pink, the author of a wonderful book, Drive, puts it onto as MAP, Mastery, Autonomy, and Purpose. I invite you to read that book. That's really wonderful. And once you have got that map in place, people, you'll be finding them very proactive, very productive, very positive toward the value creation. So unlocking intrinsic motivation through providing them that environment and space. Again, I'm reflecting back to principle number 5, Agile Manifesto. Provide them that environment and support and trust them to get the job done. So principle number 8, unlock the key messages, unlock the intrinsic motivation of knowledge workers to realize the organization's full potential by enabling them to reach their full potential. The mantra is develop teams and people, and they'll develop the product. I'll quickly move to the principle number 9, decentralized decision making. But before that, I have got a very good question to you. And this is quiz coming from Daniel Kahneman's book. If you have read that, do not answer. But if not, it's a quick one. And promise me you'll promptly answer in the chat window if you have the answer. Don't take seconds to answer it. Question is, a bat and a ball costs $1.10. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? Time up. I didn't get any answer. So if you would have thought the answer as $1 for the bat and 10 cents for the ball, and I'm sure you would have got that, at least majority of those. Neeraj, you have taken 5 seconds to answer that. I'll come to that, where did that answer come from? And if you have got $1.10 as for a cost of a bat and a ball, you are wrong, like 90% of the people. And what you answered was basically coming from the limbic system part of our brain, the system 1, which is very prompt. And if you have taken time to answer that, the way Neeraj did, you would have found out the bat costs $1 more than the ball. How come then $1.10 make it as $1 as a difference? Then your neocortex, your system 2, takes the control and says that no, the answer is actually $1.05 and 5 cents. But answering through system 2 takes time. It's expensive. But why am I saying about this neuroscience and all those things? To emphasize that even our brain has got decentralized decision making. Depending on the context, the answer is provided by different part of our brain. And to take it forward, and I'll not take much time onto that, you know, our brain has 3 different parts, but our body also has got 3 brains. One actually in the skull, one in the heart, and another in the gut. That's why we say our gut feeling. We have got 3 brains. Google it out. Decentralized decision making at the best within our body itself, right? So decision principle actually says that the decision should be made by people closest to the work and by people who have the best knowledge of the current situation. So that's what the decentralized decision making is. Get people who are closest to the information to provide the answer. It reduces the delay. It provides the faster feedback. But that does not mean that all the decisions should be decentralized. Find out those decisions which are localized, which have to be time critical, which have to be done immediately. Delegate that. And decisions which has got economy of scale, decisions which are infrequently taken, have that at a strategic level, at a centralized level. SAFE, in fact, gives you a very simple tool of putting that into the perspective. I may not be able to go detail onto that, but just imagine if you have got decisions like deployment, leaves, changes in the iteration backlog. Would you like to have a centralized decision for that? No, because that will delay it out. Now think about merger and acquisition, going to the new geography, or a salary decision. Would you want to delegate it to people? No, you want to centralize that. So SAFE says, find out the decisions which can be decentralized and centralized. The key message for principle number 9 is decentralized decision making to create empower team and enable them to the success without unnecessary delays and constraint. And the mantra is centralized strategy and localized execution. And I'll quickly go to the principle number 10. That's a very quick one, organize around value. If we have understood all the 9 principles, it just follows the place. It says that do not blame individual department, blame the entire system. Whenever, unless you have demonstrated otherwise, whenever there is a failure of collaboration. So connect all the silos and find out your value stream and integrate right from the business to the hardware to the software, connect all the value, all the departments of your value stream, so that principle number 10, what it says is that organize around value and deliver value to your customers. And for that, the mantra is start with your value stream. And now I know the time is very limited, but yes, I put it open the floor for any question and answer. And if we do not have time, I give the remaining time to Ikta. I'm sorry, Anamika and Ikta, to scavenge through the time, but I'm over here for any questions and answers and any valuable feedback.
Yes, please, everybody, ask your questions if you have related to the session. So we'll be answering them. You can just write them down in the question answer forum or the chat. We're open to both of them.
I've still not got knighthood, so I prefer calling myself as Anand.
Oh, okay, sorry, yeah.
And I would love to connect with people over LinkedIn if you would like to include me into the network. I've just now sent you my LinkedIn ID as well. Appreciate that. I understand it was like bombardment of lots of stuff.
There is this one question by Puneet in the question forum.
Sorry, I did not see that. I was just thinking over there. How can we overcome delay when I work on backup or other solutions? Puneet, possible to put more context onto that? So how can we overcome delay? The best way, if I understand the question of, let me answer just the overcome delay. Find out your bottleneck, where your work is getting stuck. And the best way to find your bottleneck is basically to find out where your work is getting piled up, right? You plot your entire work where it is getting stuck, wherever the work is happening, and see there might be some work over here waiting for requirements, waiting for testing, waiting for release, waiting for operational. Wherever there is the maximum, right, that is your bottleneck. And this one is your constrained resource. Try to see if they are optimally utilized. In our case, we saw that our release engineers were bottleneck. They had to, and we were doing a large batch, 60 items to be deployed at once. What we saw is that actually they are doing code merging, conflict resolution, and all those things. We thought, why can't the developers do that much upstream? That way, our developers, our release engineers will have spare time to actually do what they are supposed to do. Okay, so like usage of Azure over Amazon, how can we overcome when we work on backup or other solutions? It's actually not a delay now. You're actually getting a faster response point. It's an investment. Of course, the options are expensive, but now you are seeing whether Azure will work for you or Amazon. You're not going with a blind belief that Azure will work. Is it possible, Anamika or Ekta, to unmute Puneet so that we can just have a more discussion around it? I'm not sure whether I'm able to understand the question and the answer.
Yeah, Ekta, can help.
Anand, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you now.
Yes, Anand. So, yeah, well, basically that was my actual question. Now, when we have, number of engineers working on one particular project, and they believe that going all this database to the cloud solutions, and all of them are actually expert in one of the technologies like Azure,
Right.
and if they are working with that, okay, and one fine day one engineer comes and says, well, AWS is actually better than this one, so why can't we try that? So don't you think that when we are actually uploading something and it takes some time during this uh, you know war of words or something, and don't you think that delay will actually come into picture when a decision actually changes, and then uh, the team will be in a dilemma or something?
Yeah, certainly. It's so late in the time that you
Yeah.
we are 60% done. Now you're telling me let's get rid of Amazon and go with Azure. Might not be possible.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Got your
So
question. Yes.
yeah. So that is where I just thought, okay, well, what to do when we actually have that kind of scenario, and how we actually can overcome with that. Now, yes, we know that we need to actually bring that point during the retrospective, but when working on sprint and we get these kind of questions, it's quite hard to answer. And if I can know from your end, what would be the best practice?
Right. So here we will have to get away from our emotional thinking, what we call it as IKEA bias. We have invested so much of time in Azure that we start defending Azure, even if it might not be. It could be my assumption, right? So first, let's really see from rational perspective. If I'm going with Amazon, keep aside my 60% of investment that I've already done. If going with Amazon makes me go faster, let's see that I'm going with Azure and it will take me, I've already spent 6 months. It will take next 6 more months, right? I go with Amazon, I start now, but it will help make me reach in 5 months or might be 8 months, right? Of course, you see that 2 months of delay, but I see that apart from that 2 months of delay, Amazon gives me, and I'm not expert on Azure or Amazon, I'm not defending any of those, but going with Amazon helps me save an annual license cost of might be $500,000, just putting some figure, helps me go more scalable, helps me integrate with lots of other vendors and partners. I will go with Amazon. But if I cannot quantify those things logically, then I'll still go with Azure. Let's have more logical discussion, right? So it's not just about the feasibility, but viability also. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does. Even I was having, that kind of solution issue. But yes, you actually confirmed that what I was thinking was right. Thank you.
Happy for that. Any other question do we have? There was one question. Can you elaborate on what optimization we are trying to stop? Yes, Neeraj. What happens generally is that, remember that claim submission to reimbursement? People were trying to optimize locally the claims department because they were narrow thinking. But even if they would have reduced from 5 minutes to 5 seconds, my end-to-end time would have not improved. That is the local optimization. Take a systemic thinking and see what optimization will really give the benefit. See from software development, right? Requirement coming from the product to the development, to testing, to release, to operations. What we generally try to do, hey, developers, can we do faster? Hey, testers, can we start doing automated testing? I second automated testing is really important. But what if I see that my product team are sitting with the requirement for 3 months before they hand it over to the developers with no reason? Then is it really fair to push our testers without sufficient funding for automated testing to spend overnight doing the testing manually just for the sake that, okay, we can squeeze more from our testers? That is local optimization. I would, in fact, have a courage to question my product team. Why are they spending so much time over there? Or in my case, we saw that release engineers were sitting on the 60 items to deploy. We found out that actually their branching strategy was poor. They were going feature-based, sorry, the release-based. So the release branch was always stuck from the previous release, and that was stuck for warranty support, right? So that is what I was meaning about stopping the local optimization, thinking bigger picture. And to think bigger, you need to have the entire value stream. You need to have aligned people getting out of their own self-sufficing interest. I hope, Neeraj, that helps.
It does. It does. It's more like 80-20 rule.
Yes, 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule at a systemic level.
Got it. Thanks.
Actually, it takes a lot of courage to think systemically because there are lots of people sitting in different pockets with their own interest. Because think from that perspective, that claims manager wanted to show some improvement to his boss that, see, we have reduced from 5 minutes to 5 seconds. Now the whole credit was taken by the payments department that they showed the improvement. Claims manager is now grumpy. But it took the vice president of product management to think systemically and convince the entire value stream.
Thank you. That was a good example.
It was a real, and it was, we would have went with the claims if that guy was not smart enough to think it so rationally and so systemically, and not having so much of power to do that. Any other question?
Hi, Anand. This is Arjun here.
Yes, Arjun.
Anand, just a quick question. I've read about the architectural runway as an enabler.
Right.
So I wanted to check, is it something that is required as an enabler in every sprint, or is it something that is optional?
All right. So I'll give you an example. We were building claim submission to reimbursement. Same thing, right? Now we had ACH way of payment and check way of payment. Now, for we to go with the check way of payment, we had to have certain enablers, certain homework in place, if you will, right? Homework like integrate, finding out a print vendor, integrating with a print vendor, things like that, the technological stuff, upon which the check payment through check will be built up. So architectural runway are exactly that. You are paving the path on which your feature will be landing. It's not necessarily all the time that you have to have those enablers in place. Certain things will rely on the existing enablers. For example, that ACH way of payment, it did not require an integration with the bank. Integration with the bank was already existing. So yes, you do not have to have your architectural runway in every sprint. Does that answer?
Sure, Anand. Yeah, your example makes sense. Yes. I was able to relate to that. Yeah. Thank you, Anand.
Wonderful. You're welcome. I really appreciate people staying back for more than 10 minutes for the discussion. I hope you found that valuable. Otherwise, also, I've given you the LinkedIn ID. You can always connect with me for these kind of questions, and I'm very happy to answer your contextual questions as well. If we do not have any further question, then Ekta, Anamika, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Anand, for such an informative session. I hope our participants must have discovered the 10 principles of SAFE. I just wanted to inform all of you that Zebia offers different certifications on SAFE. I'm entering all the certification courses in the chat window. Let us know if you will be interested in upscaling and getting certified. A link with our moreover, our next batch on Leading Safe in US is scheduled on 21st and 22nd of June. I would request you all to give your valuable feedback on how did you like our webinar. A link I'll be again pasting in the chat. It will hardly take 2 minutes of your time, but would be helpful to us. The recordings will be shared with all of you via mail. If there are any questions left, you may ask now or related to the session or certifications, then please do connect with us via mail. Until then, we will take your leave. Thanks for attending our session. We look forward to your feedback. Thanks, Anand, once again for such an insightful session.
You're welcome, and thanks once again for giving me this opportunity, and thanks to each one of you to making it interactive, participating, and finding your time worth investing today. Have a wonderful rest of your evening or the day, depending on the time zone that you are in.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Please do share your feedback.